Hello, everybody. Welcome back to That's Life podcast. I'm your host, Abby Luckett, and life has a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and many in-betweens, but the thing that remains consistent is our God. So let's see what we talk about today. You may know me as the runner girl. You may know me as the Christian girl. You may know me as your regular, everyday gal crossing the street on the side of the road. You may know me as the person that you see in the grocery store that's always getting the non-GMO, organic, this, that, and the other ingredients. However, I most identify with, besides being a child of the living God, that is first and foremost, and then a wife to my beautiful and precious husband, and then a child of my mother and father, and a sister to my sister, and so on and so forth, of like the actual things that matter in the world. The next tier of what I identify with as in a category of identifying things with is theater girl. I haven't really opened this avenue of my life yet fully until now. That changes today. I've been hinting at what I'm going to be talking about today for a while on my Instagram and TikTok and yada, yada, yada. I've posted like one singing video in the past 2 weeks and maybe like hinting a little bit of I'm auditioning. And as you guys know, if you've listened to this before, I got a role in a show that I auditioned for and blah, 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 blah. And throughout, me talking and stuff of doing podcasts for years and years and years and years, you might have gathered and accumulated the information of my full theater breakdown throughout the years. However, I'm going to go in detail today because it is a very big change in my life and I'm finally ready to talk about it. And the reason that I kind of made this a big deal in talking about it and sharing it is because I have a complicated relationship, just like everything in my life, with it. But I have a complicated relationship with musical theater in my life because, like a lot of things, I want to do everything to the best of my ability. I feel like a lot of people can relate with that. However, I am very obsessive and a perfectionist, and it consumes me to the point so much to where it's all or nothing. And if I fail at that, then I'm a failure myself, and it kind of creeps into who I am as a person. And that's not healthy. That's not right. And so I took a step back. And I am finally in a place now where I am ready to get back into it again. And I didn't think I would ever say that in my life. So let's rewind and start from the very beginning. But before we do that, I just want to share, if you're watching this podcast right now, I post the video on YouTube of the podcast. But if you're listening, I'll shake for you. My coffee. Well, my latte. I'm sorry, but this color right here is the perfect shade for a latte. Like, can we just get a little close-up action on that for a second? I am so proud of this. Let me take a swig. That was a really long swig. I have caramel and vanilla in here. Okay. I want to get some chocolate, but they didn't have any at the store whenever I went. I've been in and out of phases of, yes syrup, no syrup, yes processed sugar, no processed sugar. I read the Biblio diet a little bit while back, which is basically like the Bible's way of eating and focusing on whole foods. But I also believe, and the book talks about, it's not a sin thing, it's a heart posture thing. And so, moderation is key as well. And especially with my complicated past of restriction and eating disorders and all of that, I'm not going to deprive myself of some sugary syrups in my coffee if I want some syrups in my coffee. Therefore, we have 1 shot of espresso, some classic caramel syrup, and some vanilla syrup with coconut milk from Califia Farms, crushed ice halfway up, filled up the glass. That's the sound of joy. It's a light beige, like slightly on the yellower side. And it is this like pale brownie beige wonderfulness in this cup right here. Delightful. Another update before I get into it. Marathon training is going well. Ryan's marathon training is also going well. He's using Runna's training plan. I kind of had to switch up my training plan because at the time that we set the Runna training plan for January, that's when the Houston Marathon is, and Ryan and I will both be running it. We had an opportunity come up where we're actually going to be running a December race in somewhere that I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet because we haven't officially locked it in, but it is happening. So once it's officially locked in, y'all will be the first to know, okay? And I'm so excited about this. So my training schedule's a little bit all over the place right now, but all in all, marathon training's going well. For the holidays, we are going to my family the day before Thanksgiving, and then Ryan's family on Thanksgiving, and then Friday, which by the time this comes out, we'll already be there. We're going to New York. We are so excited. We're seeing The Outsiders on Broadway. We're seeing the Rockettes. We actually have a friend that is a Rockette who is so kind and awesome, and I'm so excited to just cheer her on. And then we're going to is it Mets or Nets? I can't remember which one it is. We're going to a game where they play basketball in a court or in an arena, and it's either the Mets or the Nets, but I can't remember which one. And one of them's baseball, I know, and one of them's basketball. See, this is what happens. Like, my husband is such a sports guy, and I'm just such a not that. And I will sit and I'll watch the sports with, let me correct myself. I'll sit with him while he watches the sports, and I'll do something else. Like, I'll color or I'll play on my iPad or whatever. But yeah, that's the extent of my sports knowledge. And I remember when I was younger, and I always tried to be one of those girls that was like, oh, I love sports. Like, I'm like such a sporty girl, and football, and I faked it all. See, this is how you know I'm an actress, okay? I got my acting background starting young, okay? Because I was pretending to be one of those cool, like, oh, I'm friends with all the guys kind of girls. Yeah, not that, no. It's not me. And I finally accepted it. Once I found a man who truly allowed me to be myself, I really leaned into the not a sports person girl thing. However, Ryan loves his sports. Golf, basketball, baseball, football. I would say in order, the tier is probably golf, basketball. Those two go neck and neck. I mean, he's obsessed. He talks about basketball and baseball at least 2 to 3 times a day. And then, baseball, he played baseball, so it's kind of like, it'll always be in his life. Football, he doesn't really care about that much, so we don't really watch football in our house. Anyways, now you know. And then that's our plan for basically all of November, and then Christmas will circle back around, and it's too far in advance to plan for Christmas right now, so we're just not going to. I still have this nasty cough. A couple weeks back, I told y'all that I was sick. I still have this cough. What is it about getting the sickness that can't be diagnosed as anything that is worse than something that you can be diagnosed with? Like, when you have strep, okay, you have strep, you know how to treat it. You have the flu, you know how to treat it. And I'm not saying those things aren't painful at all, but sometimes it's the ones that are like, oh, like, you just have the sniffles, or it's just your sinuses or whatever. Sometimes that is even worse because you still have to, like, go about life. Like, when I have strep, it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do anything today because I have strep. But if I, like, quote unquote, just have sinuses, then it's like, oh, well, I can still go about my day. But then I end up feeling like way more horrible. And then you have this cough that lasts with you forever. And then you're laying in bed and you don't know whether to breathe out of your nose or out of your mouth because they both hurt. And then when they both hurt, you feel like you can't breathe at all. So then you can't fall asleep. So you try to prop your pillow up and do the same thing, but then it doesn't work. It really makes you appreciate not being sick. So with that being said, I've now calmed myself down, and let's talk about theater. Okay. I moved to Kentucky from Atlanta, Georgia when I was 7 years old. And when I was 7, I realized that it was, time to start choosing an activity for myself. My parents were really big on letting me choose what I wanted to do. They put me in dance when I was 3. So I'd been going to dance classes pretty consistently, and from age 3 to, through college, dance has been a constant in my life. I've been in dance classes once a week, at least every week, up to like 5-6 times a week every month. So anyways, I have a very, I love dance. It's like my favorite form of expressing emotion. Absolutely love dance. But that's all I really was put into was dance when I was young. And so when I got to Bowling Green, it was a little bit smaller than Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is a bigger city. And so there's a lot more access to doing a lot more things in Bowling Green because, there's less traffic, so you can get places faster, and things are, a bit cheaper, so you can do more things. And it all just kind of added up. I had more time. So my mom was like, okay, like, what do you want to do? And I did cheer for a little bit, or I guess gymnastics, not specifically cheer, which I loved that too. But then I auditioned for a show when I was 9. So I was in 3rd grade, and it was the best Christmas pageant ever. I was Alice Windlekin. And if you know Alice, she is the sassy little goody two shoes, like perfectionist, teacher's pet kind of girl. The show was like an hour max. It was like a short, cute show. Our city does it every year. I've done it like 3 or 4 times now throughout my years of being in Bowling Green. It's always just super fun. But that was my first ever show. And it was electrifying. People, when I tell you, I still remember the feeling to this day of stepping out on the stage for the first time. And like at the age of 9, I knew like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I mean, I just knew it. It was like this divine, I didn't even know how to define it at the time, but it was like this divine calling on my life. Like the Lord was like, this is it. Like, this is it. And that never wavered. So I just kept going, and I was doing 2-3 shows at a time when I was younger, because when you're younger and you do like theater plays or shows, it's a little less intense. And then as you get older, it's a little bit more intense, and then you also have school and like responsibilities and work and things to keep up with, so you just can't do all the things that you want to do when you're older as you did when you were younger. But yeah, it was that show that started it all for me and changed my entire life. So that was during Christmas, and then I auditioned for my first musical after that. I did a couple more plays in the mix there, but I auditioned for my first musical. It was Seussical the Musical. I was still 9 at the time, and the director was Brandon Bradshaw. Rest in peace. Incredible man. His family, all of it. Anyways, that show, if you don't know Seussical, it's like a Dr. Seuss musical. There's the Lorax and Horton Hears a Who, and super fun, bright. And I got cast as like an ensemble person. I was very young, and it was with adults. It was the first time that I was really like seriously dancing and singing with adults in an ensemble. And so they got a bunch of little kids to be like the Who's of Whoville and like animals and stuff. And I remember getting there, and then throughout the audition process, they were like, we need another dancer. Like they had a dancer group of some girls that were older. And then they were like, oh, Abby, why don't you, like, Abby can do it. So where throughout the audition process, I got added into this dancer group, and I felt so cool. I literally felt so awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm a dancer now. Like, oh, this is so cool. And I just loved it. And from then on, I kept doing it. And then in 5th grade, we actually talked about going to Broadway and homeschooling me and just doing the thing, moving to New York, auditioning for the shows. But my parents were very big on letting my childhood be my childhood. And looking back now, I'm thankful for it. And I can't say that I wouldn't have had it any other way, because I probably would have loved the New York lifestyle at a young age. I was a hustler from a young age, but I do think that I would not be as connected in my faith today if I were to go pursue all of these career dreams at that time at such a young age, because I experienced so much hardship that led to growth in my faith and who I am as a child of God within the years of high school. And if I were to be homeschooled during that, or working or pursuing, fame and career and all this stuff, I can't say for certain, but I don't think that I would have the relationship with Jesus like I do today. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's who I am. It's my identity. Like without him, I'm nothing. So to be nothing and go through Hollywood fame is terrifying. The thought that is terrifying to me, because who knows like what I would do without having that foundation to bring me back to who I really am. So I'm very, very grateful to have had that time. But we did think about it, and we did toy about the idea of just going and doing it. Like that's how serious we were. And when I got to middle school, I just continued on doing theater. It was, at the time, middle school was really hard because that was when I had my first ED, and I've talked about my ED enough, so I don't need to talk about it anymore. If you're curious about it and this is the first podcast you're listening to, go listen to them. But theater was the only thing that I felt like I could truly be myself. Like when I was on stage singing a song, playing a character, no one could tell me anything. No one could do anything. And that was the only moment in my life where I felt like untouchable. Like I was like, okay, I can just put my problems aside and be someone else. I can escape this tragic reality that I'm living in right now and be someone else, fully take my brain and just set it aside and lean into this character that I'm playing, lean into the plot that's happening. And that's when I really realized like the power of this art form. And I got super into studying the characters I was playing. So from middle school on, I would make books of each character that I would play. I kid you not, I still have these books to this day. So for example, I played Millie in Thoroughly Modern Millie my freshman year of high school. And I have this book, like literally it's like Millie's diary or something. I don't know what it says, but it's just a regular 3-hole punch binder of all of Millie's favorite things. Her coffee order, her favorite color, her favorite holiday, her favorite pastime, her hobbies, like all of it. And then I would write letters in like their handwriting and in their words and be like, okay, if Millie were to write a letter to this person, Jimmy, what would she say? And then I would like write letters and date them and sign them like the people. I would draw pictures of what they would wear for their pajamas and what they would wear like out to a coffee shop, out on the town. And then I would always try to find some way to like make this character a believer in some way. So I would always be like, okay, what's their relationship to Jesus? Like they're a Christian. So what do they, I was always trying to like find those loopholes. Like, okay, how do I squeeze my faith into this? How can I spread the good news of Jesus Christ while being a crab, a Sebastian the crab? Like, how can I do this? And definitely got creative, that's for sure. But I would character map a lot. I would, break down lines in the script. And I just loved it. I loved researching a character. So much fun. I would make mood boards. I would like put up in my dressing room pictures of, stuff that got me into the character and yada, yada, yada. I would do Enneagram tests in the brains of these characters, y'all. Like all in, okay? All in. And I loved it. It's the best ever. Would not trade any show. Maybe a couple, maybe like 2 or 3. But for the most part, wouldn't trade any show for anything else. Like theater has brought me so much joy in my life. So I knew that I was going to pursue it. I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew when I got to my senior year of high school that it was like, okay, you're going to go to college for this. Because I toyed around with the idea of not going to college and just going to New York. But I also knew that I was going to college not for the degree. I was going to it for the exposure and for the training and for making connections. And it also was a comfortable step. Like I didn't feel like I was rocking my world in any way. And I really wanted that at the time. I had only ever lived with my family and I was very sheltered growing up. And I'm very grateful for my upbringing, but my parents helped me out with a lot and did a lot for me. So I really didn't know how to function on my own at the time. Like, well, not that I didn't know how, but I didn't have exposure to functioning on my own at the time. So I knew college would be like a great way to ease into that. And I also just wanted to meet people and get out of my hometown. And I wanted to go to college. Like, it's college, cool. So I went to Belmont University and I pursued my BFA in musical theater, my bachelor's in fine arts in musical theater. And my freshman year, the first semester, I came home and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not for me. I still loved it, but I didn't like everything that came with it. It was so much. I can't even really remember exactly what it was. I think at the time I was also relapsing in another ED. So that clouded my judgment, but I just didn't have any friends. I never had a second to breathe or to pause. And there was something specific someone said. We had someone come speak to us. I can't remember their name, but they were like, if this career doesn't completely consume you 24/7, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time, and you're always thinking about it and always pushing to do more and to grow, then it's not for you. And I sat there and I was like, I don't want my life to look like that. So I guess I just shouldn't do this. And looking back now, I wish that the brain that I had was like sitting there with me hearing that, because that is just not healthy. And I do not agree with that statement. Even if you want to pursue this crazy career adventure or go out in LA and do the Hollywood thing or make the leap to start your own business or whatever, blah, 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 blah. I do not agree with that statement ever. Like literally ever. because the only thing that should consume you 24/7 that you should be thinking about all the time is your faith. Like, that's the only thing that you can't OD on, is the good news of Jesus Christ. And I say that because if I'm thinking about something 24/7 and eat, sleep, and breathing it, like literally to a point of like, that's all I'm ever doing or thinking, number one, that's just going to make you burn out. Number two, that's idolizing something. And as a believer, God commands us to not idolize anything above him. And so ultimately it's going to crumble and fall anyways. And so I had a whole come to Jesus moment with that statement alone. But that second semester of my freshman year, I went back and I was like, okay, I'm not going to drop out yet. I almost did though. I literally almost did. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to drop out yet. I'm going to give my all to this second semester. And I'm going to lean in, pour my heart and soul into this semester, not take trips home, because I only lived an hour away from home. Belmont is an hour away from Bowling Green. I was like, I'm not going to take trips home. I'm going to fully just lean into this. And if it's still not for me, then I know at least I've given it my all. And I ended up loving it. I loved college that second semester. I think that first semester, there's just so much freshman year hardship, finding friends. It's just weird. It's weird. And I didn't truly like find my core group of friends until my sophomore year. I mean, obviously I had my musical theater friends, but it's also healthy to find friends outside of, you know, your little group or work or whatever. And so anyways, yeah, I really loved it. And was like, oh my gosh, like I never want to leave. This is incredible. Like, let's go musical theater. I am ready, locked and loaded. So my sophomore year, I really grinded it out hard, and I was auditioning for thing after thing after thing. And I booked a show. That second semester of my sophomore year called His Story. It was a musical, an original musical about the gospel. And it was written by Anna Miriam Brown, directed by Jeff Calhoun, who he directed Newsies on Broadway. And the music director was Rick Flores, who has done a lot of things. But the most recent work that he did at the time was he was working with Bad Cinderella on Broadway, which at the time, I don't know if you're a theater person listening to this or not, but if you are a theater person, then you know this probably, that at that time, that was when Bad Cinderella was like trending on TikTok, and everyone was making these videos like, I'm not your like average Cinderella, I'm a bad Cinderella, or whatever the TikTok sound is. I don't even know what it is, but that was like all that time. And so I remember during that show, I was really close with Rick, and I would like joke about it and be like, I'm not your average Cinderella or whatever, and he would just roll his eyes, and it was just funny. Anyways, so I moved to Texas. The show was in Texas and performed it, and I've seen some of your all's comments that you have been following either like the That's Life podcast page or Abby and Ryan page. That was before Abby and Ryan was even Abby and Ryan. I didn't even know Ryan was going to be part of the plot, but I was posting. I still had my, podcast. Even on this That's Life podcast, I have a whole His Story season. If you want to venture back into that, feel free. But I was documenting like my life and His story, and I've seen some of y'all's comments that are saying you've been here since His Story, which is so crazy to me because I have experienced so many different phases of life. It's wild. And thank you so much for sticking with me through that. Y'all are the OGs. Y'all are the real ones, okay? But that was like my first professional job. That was my first paid theater job ever. So I moved to Texas. I lived in Frisco, Dallas area, and I would just go to work every single day. And it was like an equity contract. I was living the dream. It was amazing. I would like go about my day during the day, and then I would show up and do a show at night, and it was incredible. I had so much fun. But along there somewhere, I stopped prioritizing my faith, and my only friends were the people in the cast. And the people in the cast were absolutely incredible and so kind, and I'm still friends with a lot of them to this day. But I just didn't have a lot of people that believed the same beliefs that I did, meaning like a lot of them weren't Christians. And I didn't have Christian community because I didn't have time to go to church. I was always at the theater. And so, when you don't have people in your life, like actively with you in your life, who you can surround yourself with, who, will challenge you in your beliefs, or you can grow in your faith together. At least for me, like I started to just fall because I wasn't prioritizing it at all. And the show got canceled, somewhere along the line. So I moved back home during that summer. And that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, I have not picked up my Bible in months. I have this whole thing messed up. Like, just because I was so happy in this theater world, that means nothing if I don't have my God, if I don't have the relationship with my Father. And I just realized how it was a true joy for sure. And Jesus was still prevalent in my heart during that experience, but my actions weren't showing that at all. And by the end of the stretch of that show, although I was performing the gospel every single day, I felt very distant in my faith. And so I really leaned into, when I got home, studying the word and getting serious with Jesus and just being like, I am so sorry for neglecting you, Lord. During that time, I also experienced a very bad breakup, and that also played into a lot of it. And so, that post-breakup come to Jesus period mixed with just realizing how distant I'd gotten my faith, I was like, I'm surrendering everything, and the only thing I'm focusing on is Jesus right now. And that was such a pivotal moment in my life, because that was the decision that I made of like, okay, nothing comes before Jesus. Like, nothing comes before the Lord. Not boys, not shows, not my career adventures, absolutely nothing. So then I went back to school for my junior year, and right before that is when I met Ryan, who I did not know was going to be my husband, but he was. And I went back to school, and I was like, why am I not enjoying this anymore? Why am I anxious? Why do I not want to sing? Why do I not want to perform? I don't like this. I really don't like this at all. And I developed some really, really bad performance anxiety because I just didn't want to do it. Like, I just didn't want to. And the reality, I think, of performing as a career kind of started to set in. And I was like, I am always so anxious and nervous going into auditions. And when you're a performer, you're always auditioning. And I don't want to always be anxious. And I don't know, there were so many things that hit me all at once. And that mixed with like the thought of, oh, well, when you're in a show, you get distant in your faith and you're not connected to your faith, which that isn't truly the case, but that was the last experience that I had doing a show. And so I just kind of like put that across the board of like, well, this is how it is, which isn't true at all. But I don't know. I was just in a very bad mental state. That's all that I was pulling from, because that was my most recent experience. And then that mixed with just a lot of realization about the theater world and like morals within that world as well kind of started to come into play. And I was going to see shows and see characters or plot lines that I was like, I wouldn't be a part of that. Like, I wouldn't morally feel comfortable with playing that character because it doesn't align with my beliefs, which is so fine. But that mixed with, I don't know, just a lot of realization about like, but I have to make a living for myself. And if I have to say no to a bunch of characters, like, I can't really do that if I'm trying to make it in the industry. Like, when you're in the industry and you're trying to book a show or get a character or get a role, you have to be willing to say yes to a lot of things because you have to survive and you have to make money and do all these things. And there definitely is a way to be a performer and stick to your morals. But again, at the time I was a junior and young and inexperienced, and that just wasn't in my brain. Like, I wasn't able to remind myself of that truth. And so I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I really can't do this anymore. I prayed about it a lot. I cried a lot my junior year of college. And I stayed in college for that entire junior year. I really pushed through because I was like, this is just a phase. Like, I'm just going through stuff, yada, yada, yada. But it never went away. It never went away. And I kept feeling this pull and this tug on my heart from the Lord to be like, stop, just quit it all, lay it down. And I would have these thoughts going back and forth of like, well, what are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm a failure? Because, in my small town, it was, oh, Abby Murphy, the girl that's going to be a star on Broadway. And if I don't do that anymore, people are going to think I failed. And I don't want people to think I failed. And Jesus was like, but I don't think you failed. And I'm the only one that matters. Like, why are you trying to seek the approval of others? Like, even if they say you fail, but you're obeying my command, then in my eyes, like, that's all I can ask is that you say yes to my commands. And I very prevalently felt that Jesus was commanding me to lay it all down and stop and just quit and lay it down. Like, I remember saying to one of my friends in a conversation, I was like, I feel like Jesus is telling me to surrender this all, because for so long I have made it my identity and my worth that when I don't do good, or I don't feel like I nailed an audition or nailed a performance, instead of just being like, oh, that was a bad performance, I take it and I'm like, oh, I am a bad performer, or oh, I messed up on that line, I made a mistake in the show. I would take it as like, oh, I am a mistake. And that is finding your identity in something. And so I was like, it just feels like Jesus is telling me to lay this all down at his feet. Anyways, that mixed with then having this moment where I was like, this is all I've ever known. Since I was 9, I decided that I was going to do this for the rest of my life. What do I do? That was also very revealing, because it was like, I decided that I was going to do this. Did I invite God into that decision at all? No, I didn't. And although I felt very confirmed in his Holy Spirit that this was what I was supposed to do with my life up until that point, it was still like, this is my plan. This is my plan. And it wasn't revealed to me how much I had pride in my own plan and comfort in my own plan and in my own doing. I didn't realize how much power I gave into that until this moment in my life. And now looking back, it's like, okay, it wasn't that big of a deal. Everything worked out. But at the time, this was like life altering. I mean, it was life altering, but I was like having a full mentee bee. Like, I was breaking down, because this is the only thing I had going for me pretty much. And then I couldn't do it anymore. Like, in college, how the BFA program worked for us was, one of our grades that we would get graded on is our seminar class. So we would go in, we would sit in front of everyone else that was in the program, and we would sing an audition cut or sing a song. And then that's kind of like how we would get our grade for the class, is we would have to sing a certain amount of songs. I remember every single time that it was like my turn to perform for a seminar class my junior year, I had the most intense anxiety I've ever experienced in my life. I hadn't experienced anxiety like that on that level until then. Like, it was crippling. It was crippling. I got so skinny because I was just always anxious. Like, I couldn't eat. And that wasn't like an ED tendency. That was literally just like, I was so anxious. Like, I lived in an anxiety state, and the only thing that brought me comfort and peace was Jesus. I had to fully surrender everything that I knew about myself, about my life. But I'm so grateful for that, because since I surrendered it, like, I now can confidently say that I don't have any of my identity placed in anything else other than Jesus Christ, because that is never going to go away. That's never going to change. But up until that point, my junior year of college, that wasn't the case. So I made the decision that summer before my senior year of college to drop out. I decided it when we went to Costa Rica, actually, as a family. We all went to Costa Rica, and I was just walking in the beach. I literally had signed up for all my classes. I had the show planned out that I was going to do that following semester. Like, I was going to go back to school and finish it out and just push through, and then, not use that degree and find something else to do with my life. But I was just walking on the beach, looking around at everything, and I was just like, life is so much bigger than this. There is so much more to life than this. And if the only thing that's stopping me from dropping out right now and changing majors and getting a degree in something else, the only thing that's stopping me is what other people think of me, why am I doing this? Because that literally was it. Like, I literally was like, what are people going to think? And I had to have this moment where I was like, humble yourself, Abby. People don't think of you that much. Like, people don't think about you the way that you're giving them credit to think about you. Like, you're not that important. You're not that special. And I mean that in a loving way, because, it wasn't like I thought I was better than everyone else or anything like that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better. Like, I have to do that. Like, no, it wasn't like that. But it was just like, I don't want people to see me, quote unquote, drop out of college and fail. But that actually was my version of success, because success is relative. Success is subjective. And when I realized that, it was like, success to me is following the Lord's plan. And the Lord is very obviously telling me to stop doing this. And if that doesn't look the mainstream way, so be it. If I'm obeying him, that is success. And the world's success is very different from what Jesus tells us to do. If I'm trying to seek and crave success and praise from the world, I'm doing something wrong, and I need to align that. And so I looked at my mom and I was like, I have to drop out. I can't do this anymore. And I knew I wanted to finish a degree. Like, I knew I had made that commitment to myself to get a degree, and I knew I wanted to do that. And so I was like, I'm just going to transfer online. I don't care what my degree is. We'll figure it out. And so, long story short, that senior year, I finished online. I transferred to Liberty University because Belmont didn't do a do online classes pretty much. And so I just got, a generic degree from Liberty University, transferred my credits, yada, 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 all the boring stuff. So my senior year of college, I did one show that was a year ago today around this time. It was Grease. I played Patty Simcox, if you're familiar. She's the really annoying cheerleader, and that is very much so my type. If you're curious of what like my type of role or my typecasted is, it is the funny, comedic, character-y, silly girl. But it's very interesting because my voice doesn't match up with that. Like usually the voice type for those characters is very like resonant and bright and belty and just like very like, just high and belty. But I actually have more of a, I don't know what the word to describe it is, like a heavy mixy kind of voice, more I don't even know what to say other than like the princess style of singing. Like I'm not a very confident belter. I always tried to belt when I was younger, but my voice very confidently sits in this like mixy kind of like, land. And so, yeah, I don't really know what kind of like characters mix those two. But anyways, all that to say, very much so my type's Patty Simcox, very just like annoying and funny and over the top. I love playing the silly characters. And so that was really fun. Like I enjoyed it. But after that show was over, I was like, okay, I'm like seriously done. Like I really think I'm done. So it's been a full year. I took a full year off. I helped choreograph shows. I love choreographing. It's one of my all-time favorite things to do is choreograph musical theater shows. I've choreographed many in my life, but that always keeps me connected. But I really just thought I was done. I like put up all my shoes, put up all my leotards, threw away all of my music. Like I don't even know where like a couple of my resumes are. And about 4-ish months ago, maybe 6-ish months ago, I was like, I'm getting the tingle to do this. What does this mean? But I just kind of like let it simmer because I didn't want to lean too much into something and then like not follow through with it, because that's something about me is that I can get really excited about a project and really go all in for like 2 weeks and then just stop. And so I was like, this is like if I'm going to do this, I don't see a world where I can just do it like halfway. I don't want to say halfway, but like, because you can still do something and not like pursue it as a career. But I just knew like if I wanted to do it, I wanted to give it my version of my all. And so I prayed a lot about it, and I was just like, okay, Lord, like, what does this mean? I don't know. Like, it's just like a fluke. Like, do I just need to watch a musical and then I'm fine? So that feeling just grew and grew and grew for the past like 5 months. And so finally I was like, okay, like I'm gotta do this. And I had many intense prayers with the Lord, and I was like, I'm about to go all in. And so if I'm not supposed to do this, stop me and make it so obvious and stop me. And he hasn't, and he didn't. And I am officially in it again. I am officially a theater kid again. I thought I was retired, but I guess I'm not. And so I'm making all of my actors accounts again online and submitting for auditions, getting my resumes, connecting with agents, like doing the thing and getting back into the industry and kind of having a new start. I did not think this was going to be the case. And the reason that I didn't really want to like share it on social media yet was because I wanted to ease into it slowly because of my relationship with it, which now it was like really hard. And I'm in this place right now where I'm working through this performance anxiety and trying to not let that get in my way, because I don't want to not do something just because I'm anxious about it, because that anxiety is not from the Lord. And the devil knows my weaknesses, and he knows where I'm not confident. And so he can swoop in there and like feed me lies. And that's just, I'm not going to let that happen, because I know I want to do this and I want to do it for Jesus. And I feel a very big pull and calling on my life to step into that in some capacity. I just don't really know what it is, but I think that that's exactly where I need to be, because if I knew what I was going to do and I knew the plan, then I'd be right where I was before I quit. And I just can't help but think of that time in my junior year when I was like, it felt like the Lord told me to surrender all of this because I'm finding my identity in it. Because I said that, and then in the same breath I said, and then I can truly enjoy it after I surrender it. And I feel like that second part of that statement is where I'm at right now, Because when I quit and I, dropped everything and stopped performing, I mean, I really haven't truly performed in a professional, pursuing it as a career capacity in 2 years. I haven't had a voice lesson in 2 years. It's been a journey. I'm just thought I was done, but I guess it was just a break or a rest period. I was just hibernating for a little bit. But that was also the time when I started pursuing social media as a career. And this has allowed me to find a whole new avenue of the entertainment industry and performing in a way that I didn't even know I could do, or I didn't even know existed. Like Ryan and I make skits now, and we write scripts for the skits, and then we record them and we post them as silly little reels online. And like, that's theater and that's entertainment and that's fun. And so I still get to use these skills and enjoy that, but I didn't know that was the plan. And if I were to have stayed on the path of like, no, you have to pursue performing because this is like the plan that you had set for yourself, we wouldn't have the platform that we would have today. I might not even be married today, because when I was at home doing school, I got to grow my relationship with Ryan and things got to move at a faster pace towards marriage because I wasn't in a different state and we weren't long distance. There are so many things in the path and in the plan that it's like, God's plan was so much better than mine. Like, my plan was go all 4 years to school and then try to get an agent and go to New York and book shows. But it's been go to school and then change your major and drop out your junior year, finish the rest of school online and start doing social media as your career, meet your husband, get married. And now you can step back into it after you've grown more close to the Lord and after you know who you are and whose you are, and you're not finding your identity in your talent, and you're not finding your worth in your performances, and you're not letting one bad performance dictate your identity and your worth as a human being in this world. And there's just so many things that get me so fired up about talking about this, because there's an image that always comes to mind, and it's this little girl, and she's standing face to face with Jesus, and Jesus is kind of like crouched down to her, and the little girl has a flower in her hand, and she's like, I don't want to give this to you. Like, this is so pretty, and I want this, and like, this is so gorgeous. And Jesus is like, just give it to me. Like, it's going to be okay. And he has one hand held out to take the flower, and behind his back, his hand is holding a whole bouquet of flowers. And it's this image that's like, we can't see what he has planned for us, but it's so much better. We just have to surrender what we know and what we can see and what we're in control of to him. And that's what he was calling me to do. And I'm so incredibly grateful that he emboldened me to take that jump and to lay it at his feet, because I could not imagine my life in a different way. I'm just so grateful, but I also just have such a new perspective on this career going into it. And so where I'm at today is training. So I've been taking voice lessons for about a month now, and I love it so much. It's with my voice teacher that I've had growing up. So he knows my voice. He's really helping me with my performance anxiety right now. He's really helping me. I have a lot of like tension when I sing because I go into this fight or flight mode. And when I go into this, like, oh, I have to do this right now, my body just gets stressed. And when I get stressed, I tighten up, and then it's a whole thing. But we're really, really working on that right now, on breaking that performance anxiety, and I'm having fun, which is great. I auditioned for a show, and I can finally announce what it is because they posted about it. So I'm going to be doing the show Steel Magnolias. It's a play. It's not a musical. It's a play. It'll be in February here in Bowling Green. So if you want to come see it, it's going to be the 21st and 22nd, I think. 21st and 22nd at Ramsey Theater. Well, at SkyPack. The theater is called SkyPack, but the company is Ramsey, Ramsey Theater Company. It's a professional theater company, so it's a professional show, and it's 6 people in the cast. Steel Magnolias is a very old movie that is like Southern Belle. Dolly Parton was in it. Julia Roberts was in it. They're not in the current show that I'm in. Would be great if they were. However, there is someone from a soap opera that's in the cast, that like a very famous soap opera. I didn't watch it. It was before my time, but my grandma said she watched it. So that's cool. But I'm just excited to learn and grow. I believe the youngest one in the cast. It's a cast of like older women. The characters are, older in their 40s and 50s, and my character's young 20-year-old girl who is coming to work for one of the older ladies. And so I don't know, I'm just excited to learn, make connections, step my foot back into a professional theater setting, and then hopefully just keep taking more and more steps to, I'm very interested in film and I want to get into film. And I don't know, I'm trying to express the way that I feel currently about what I'm doing, and it's hard because it feels like surreal and it's just on such a small scale, but I'm so grateful that I'm not finished. And I thought that I was, and I'm not. And I have this spark relit in me, and this is going to sound so cringy and just like Abby, stop talking, like this is annoying, but I feel like there was a piece of me missing that I didn't know was missing until I started doing this again. And then I'm like, oh wait, here it is. Like, oh my goodness, here, like this is this joy and this is this passion and drive that you had. You just got a little bit messed up there some way along the way. And the Lord taught you so much through that, but you had to surrender it and give it up. I mean, from the age of 9 to 21, it was all I knew, all I did. And then I gave it up for 2 years. And now I'm back again. And I'm so excited. And I'm not done. She's not done yet, folks. Who knows where this will lead, but I'm taking classes. I'm doing things. And I'm brushing off the cobwebs. I'm stepping back into it. And I've been out of the industry for 2 years, so it's probably changed a lot. So if you are a theater/film person listening to this, give me what other helpful hints you can in the comments, because your girl's a little bit out of the loop right now. But with all that being said, I'm really excited to share the journey with you guys. Rehearsals for Steel Magnolias start in February, so I'm going to take you guys along with that process. The whole show, rehearsal, all of it is all in February, so it's just for that month, which I'm excited about. And we're going to be living this running/theater/overall Jesus/being married journey together. And I'm so excited to share this with you guys and feel confident enough to be like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, I am doing this. And the reason that I have that confidence is not because it's confidence in me. It's this confidence where the Lord is like, yes. And now take the next step. And take the next step, rather than, oh, Lord, here's my plan. Will you please bless it? It's like, okay, Lord, I am blindly following you. What do I do next? What do I do? I'm about to say yes to this. Please stop me if not. Or should I say yes to this? Or help me feel peace if blah, blah, and blah, blah. I mean, there are so many different prayers that I'm praying right now, but it's fully relying on him. That's what it's like before I would just go. And I would just pray like, okay, like bless me, bless this, do that. Not because I didn't care, but I didn't really know the trap that I was walking into. And now with the different perspective that I have, I just so evidently see why I had to surrender it all. And just the new perspective that I have and the new way that I'm walking in this path of performing again. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. And how kind of him to show me the fruit that was produced from that season of surrender, because God doesn't owe that to us. Like, God doesn't owe us to see like the good product out of the hard season. He doesn't owe us that, and he doesn't have to show us that, and he may not show us that. There have been some hard seasons that I've been through where it's like, okay, I don't fully know why I went through that, but I know that it was for something part of your plan, and it was for something good. I just don't feel that or see that evidently, but I am evidently seeing that and feeling that right now. And although it's hard to get back into the training of it all, it's a good hard. It's a hard that I want to have, and it's a growth that I want to have. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm, learning again at 23. And I know I'm young to be saying that, but it just feels good. You think when you're done with college, like, okay, I'm done with learning, I'm done with growing, let's pursue this career and let's get settled. I'm so grateful that that's at least not the case for me right now. And it was very unexpected, but I'm very joyous about it. And we're going to see how Ryan feels about becoming a theater boy again. When we first started dating, he was that theater boyfriend, but that was my, ending of my era. So we're getting back into it, and I can't wait to hear all of his reactions about it as well. I know he loves theater. He loves watching theater. It's one of his favorite things to do, which I wish that I had that same reaction to sports. We're working on it, but I'm so grateful to have such a huge cheerleader in my family and everybody. And okay, I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. But anyways, this is your sign to ask the Lord, is there anything that I need to step back into? Is there anything that I need to surrender? Whatever season and period of your life that you're in right now, I pray that the Lord makes it clear and evident for you and that you feel confident in the surrender. So with that being said, that's my theater journey. That's where I'm at right now. And here's to stepping back out on the stage again. I will try to keep you guys in the loop with everything that's going on. Hey, you know what? I love you guys. My coffee's almost gone, so I guess that means that I should probably leave too. I love you. Jesus loves you. And you know what? You know what, guys? You know what, friends and family? That's life. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Love you all so much. Bye.